Never told, the shocking truth about Zeus that will haunt you at 3 a.m. In the dead of night, they say the truth bites. And this one? It bites hard. Imagine the ancient god of thunder, a being so powerful he tore the skies asunder, lurking in the shadows of your nightmares. What if every lightning strike was his angry howl? What if every storm was a warning? What if his spirit, restless and furious, haunted our very dreams? You see, Zeus wasn't just a deity throwing lightning bolts from Mount Olympus. He was a master of trickery, a seducer of mortals, leaving a trail of broken hearts and lost souls. Local legends whispered of a forbidden temple deep in the woods where the echoes of his laughter could still be heard at twilight, where the air crackled with the power of his wrath. Those who dared venture near often returned with trembling hands and wild eyes, claiming that shadows danced in the flickering light of their torches, shadows that whispered dark secrets only the brave or the insane could understand. But it got stranger. Townsfolk began to report sightings of blazing eyes in the forest at night, glowing brighter than the moon, promising both temptation and terror. A couple of teenagers, racing to impress their friends, vowed to explore the temple. They laughed off the warnings, but laughter turned to screams when they stumbled into the sacred ruins. Some said they caught a glimpse of a figure cloaked in storm clouds, hovering, waiting, watching. An old woman, known for her chilling predictions, claimed Zeus was angry for being forgotten. He punishes those who forget their history, she shrieked, her curling fingers trembling as they pointed to the sky. And yet, there was a catch: his retribution could bring both horror and power. Would you dare to harness it? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The next night, the storm hit with unmatched fury. Lightning cracked like the sound of a gunshot, illuminating the temple in blinding flashes. And just then, in the cacophony of nature's wrath, the teenagers heard it, a voice, deep and thunderous, echoing through the trees, beckoning them forward. They were compelled. Fate was calling. But who could predict what awaited them? Would they brave the storm? Would they confront the wrath of Zeus and unveil his shocking truth? Or would they vanish into the night like so many before them, leaving only whispers in the wind? The air was thick with anticipation as the teenagers, hearts pounding, stepped cautiously toward the ancient temple. The storm raged like a beast unleashed, wind whipping around them, pulling at their clothes as if trying to drag them back to safety. But the voice, it tugged at something deep inside, a primal urge to discover the unknown. Did you hear that? Amy whispered, her voice trembling as she glanced at her friends, Jack and Sam. The power of the storm rattled the very earth beneath their feet, yet there was an undeniable pull drawing them closer to the temple's crumbling entrance. "See, Mon, it's just the wind," Jack said, trying to mask his own fear with bravado. But even he couldn't ignore the eerie glow emanating from within, echoing the chaotic flashes of lightning, and so they advanced, deeper into the woods, where shadows stretched like fingers in the dark, brushing against their skin. The temple loomed ahead, ominous and majestic, its silhouette stark against the furious sky. Amy felt her breath hitch in her throat, as if the temple itself had a heartbeat, a pulse of ancient power that resonated in her bones. As they stepped inside, the air shifted. It felt electric, like static before a long-anticipated storm. The temple walls were inscribed with markings that glowed faintly, pulsating with energy. And then they heard it again, the voice stronger this time, reverberating through the hallowed space. "Stay, I await. What if we just turn back?" Sam suggested, his wide eyes darting nervously around the dimly lit enclosure. "This isn't worth it. We need to go." But Amy couldn't shake the feeling that this was the moment they had all been chasing. "We have to see this through. We need to know what he wants." Suddenly, flickers of light danced along the walls, illuminating chaotic murals depicting Zeus's wrath storms, chaos, and mortals bowing in fear. It was both beautiful and terrifying. Thunder cracked overhead, shaking the temple as if the storm itself had a say in their fate. Then came a chilling realization as the air thickened. The voice now surged with power, "You have come for your reckoning." The ground shook underfoot, and a blinding flash of light erupted within the temple. Amy gasped, a lump forming in her throat as the form of Zeus materialized before them, cloaked in storm clouds, his blazing eyes fierce and wild. Jack stumbled back, panic written all over his face. "Run!" he shouted, but it was too late. They were rooted in place, trapped under the weight of the god's gaze. What had they awakened? Did they dare uncover the hidden truths of a deity forgotten? Zeus took a step closer, "The wind's howling, who dares disturb my slumber? The punishment for your folly is grand, or perhaps the rewards are greater than you can comprehend." Fear gripped them, pulling tighter than any storm, yet a flicker of curiosity danced in Amy's mind. What if the power he offered could change everything for better or worse? Would they dare to confront their destiny, or was this the moment they would be lost to the night, forever overshadowed by the legacy of a god? Just as the tension reached its peak, a flash of lightning illuminated a terrified face in the shadows. It wasn't just the three of them anymore. There were others lurking in the temple, a group of lost souls, trapped by what they had once sought. Were these the whispers of the past, warnings of what lay ahead? "Join me!" Zeus thundered, his voice a mix of command and temptation. What choice would they make? Would they accept, or would they resist the call of the storm? And then it hit them, their lives, their futures, their very souls were on the line. The moment had come, but which path would they choose? Yet, as the storm swirled outside, a chilling thought crept into Amy's mind. What other nightmares were woven into the fabric of Zeus's wrath, waiting to be unleashed? The ground quaked again, and the air felt as if it had been set ablaze. Amy's heart raced. She could hardly believe what stood before her, a god, so powerful and ominous, commanding the very elements themselves. Was this what they had come for? The sheer weight of his gaze threatened to crush them. "Join me!" Zeus's voice boomed like thunder, echoing off the stone walls of the temple. Shadows flickered as the light intensified, morphing figures seemed to writhe in fear around them. The lost souls absorbed the energy of the storm, their mouths forming silent pleas. "No!" Jack shouted, breaking free from his stupor. "We have to get out of here." He grabbed Amy's arm, desperation coursing through him. But Amy was frozen. The voice, the promise, it was intoxicating. Another flash of lightning illuminated Zeus's face. There was pain in his eyes, a depth that suggested he wasn't just a tyrant, but a guardian of a legacy long forgotten. Did he, too, bear the weight of his own choices? "Why are you afraid?" Zeus asked, his voice softer now, urging them forward. "You stand at the brink of something great." Sam looked between the two, his breath quickening. "Amy, you can't be serious. He's not offering you anything good. This is madness." Panic spilled over his words as he tried to pull her back, but Amy shook her head, stepping away from Jack's grasp. "We have to know what he wants," she insisted. "This is more than just fear. It's a chance to do what?" Jack interjected, his voice shaking. "To join him. To become like them." He pointed at the lost souls, their faces twisted in anguish. "Look at them. They thought they'd found power too." "I have given power to those worthy," Zeus interjected, a flare of authority back in his voice. "You think you understand fear? It is a fleeting flicker compared to what I can offer. Embrace the storm or be consumed by it." Amy felt the walls vibrate, alive with the goddess energy, suffocating yet exhilarating. Had they stumbled upon a truth that others had sought and failed to grasp? This moment felt monumental, almost historical. "Think!" Sam cried, casting frantic glances at the flickering shadows. "What are we willing to risk? Do we even know what he expects from us? The storm outside screamed, and a gust tore through the temple, sending dust and debris swirling between them. Something had shifted in the atmosphere, and Amy realized they didn't have a choice anymore. The storm wasn't just outside, it was within them. I will grant you knowledge, power, freedom, everything you desire, Zeus said, his tone soothing, eyes locking onto Amy's. But know this: each choice comes with a price. Are you prepared to pay? Jack stepped forward defiantly, trying to shield Sam and Amy. You think we're just pawns in your game? What gives you the right to demand anything from us? The goddess' laughter rolled like thunder, drowning Jack's words. A game? He extended his arm, and in an instant, lightning coiled around it, dazzling yet terrifying. This is not a game. This is destiny. You keep standing at the edge, but you must leap. A moment of silence enveloped them, heavier than the storm. Time stretched, sharpening the tension. Amy's heart thundered, caught between the choices of defiance and submission. What if Zeus was right? What if this was a chance to rewrite their stories? Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a loud crack echoed as a massive boulder tumbled from above, smashing between them, sending dust and debris flying. Decide quickly, Zeus urged, as the temple quaked with a force that threatened to swallow them whole. The ground beneath their feet began to tear apart. Are you ready to face the consequences? With trembling hands and racing hearts, they had only moments to choose. Would they face the god and accept his offer, or succumb to their fears and run? As the shadows thickened and the voice intensified, a chilling thought struck Amy. What if the true nightmare wasn't in the choice itself, but the revelation that lay just beyond it? And suddenly, all she could hear was the thunder, an ominous promise of what was yet to come. The darkness seemed to pulse around them, a living entity that thrummed with uncertainty. The boulder lay shattered, dust swirling in the charged air. Amy peered into the chaos, her mind racing. She could still hear Zeus's voice, a siren's call in the chaos. Choose. He demanded, his eyes like burning coals, dangerously compelling. Every fiber of her being screamed for her to run, but what if this was her moment to seize her destiny? Don't! Jack shouted again, his resolve cracking under the weight of the atmosphere. He stepped closer to Amy, eyes darting to the gaping chasm that seemed to beckon them. We can't trust him. It's a trap. We need to find a way out of here. A curse to fate, she thought. They were already too deep into this madness, and running felt like a betrayal of something much larger than themselves. The souls around them writhing in the corners of her mind echoed as her heart raced. The decision twisted like a knife within her. Every choice, every consequence. Zeus leaned forward, his face etched with an urgency that made Amy's breath hitch. This is your moment, Amy. Will you let fear chain you, or will you break free? All you desire is within reach. Desire? Sam spat back, his voice cracking. No one's desires come without cost. The price could be our very souls. The ground shook again, fracturing wider now, as if the temple itself was siding with the divine. Is it real? She wondered. Or have they stepped into a nightmare spun by ancient myths? Every second stretched painfully, pushing her closer to a decision. Think about how many have failed before you. Zeus continued, his tone now laced with that strange mixture of warning and promise. They feared their potential. I grant you a chance, better to embrace the storm than to be swallowed by it. Jack gripped Amy's arm tighter. Don't listen to him. Every word is a web woven to ensnare us. Yet there was a flicker of hope igniting deep within her, a burning question: what if this was the key to something greater? Something that could liberate them from the mundane life they had always known. Could Zeus's vision truly lift the veil of their destinies? Choose. Zeus reiterated, raising a hand as lightning danced along his fingertips, illuminating the fear etched into their faces. Turn away, and witness the fate of those who came before you. Embrace this moment, and you may find more than you thought possible. A sudden tremor shook Amy to her core. The ground began to fissure wider, exposing darkened crevices filled with the howling spirits of the damned. Desperation clawed at her throat as scattered memories flooded her mind, the uncertainty, the dreams unfulfilled, the weight of expectation. The decision loomed like a sword above her head. Each heartbeat drummed against her chest like a war cry. Who was she? Who could she become? Would she risk everything to step into the embrace of a god, or would she cower in the shadows alongside the lost souls? With her friends at her side, she teetered on the brink of an abyss. All at once, a burst of primal energy surged through her, clearing the fog. It empowered her to spit against fate, to challenge the unknown. What is the true cost of freedom? She whispered, barely audible over the chaos. Amy's gaze held Zeus', daring, defiant. And without realizing it, they had already begun to fall. The ground opened beneath them, a bottomless void that waited eagerly to claim their very beings. Together. Jack grasped Sam's hand, eyes wide with a blend of terror and resolve. But how could they leap? Was it forward into the beckoning storm, or back into the safe embrace of despair? In that moment, surrendering to the wild chaos or grasping at Zeus's promise seemed a matter of survival. And as they began their uncertain plunge into the depths below, the final question swirled in their minds. What awaited them on the other side of this storm? The darkness consumed them. Amy felt the wind whip around her as they plunged deeper into the void, her heart slamming against her ribcage. The cold air pinched at her skin like icy fingers, and for a moment, time stretched infinitely, twisting and distorting like a fever dream. As they fell, chaos spun in Amy's mind. What had she done? She had dared to challenge fate, but now they were spiraling into unknown depths. Panic surged, her instinct screamed to fight against the impending doom. Jack! Sam! She shouted, her voice swallowed by the howling void. Then, in a sudden jolt, the air stilled, the ground no longer falling away beneath them. They landed hard on a surface that felt like damp stone, the impact reverberating through their bodies. Shakily, Amy pushed herself up, her heart racing. They were, somewhere. But where? Dim light flickered, and from behind the veil of darkness, strange shapes emerged. Shadows danced across the walls, flickering like restless spirits caught between realms. Alarm surged through her as she turned to see Jack and Sam, their eyes wide in disbelief. What just happened? Sam gasped, brushing dust off his jeans as he stood. Are we alive? Jack nodded, his brow furrowed. For now. But we've got to move, this place feels wrong. Amy's gaze searched their surroundings. The walls of the chamber were adorned with ancient carvings, twisting images of gods and humans intertwined in a battle of light and darkness. She approached one fresco, her fingers gently tracing the rough stone. It was as if the figures were alive, locked in a desperate struggle. Look at this, she breathed. It's like they were caught in a cycle, Jack finished, stepping beside her. Just like us. A chill wound its way up Amy's spine as she thought about Zeus's words. Was this the fate he had promised? She fought to shake the haunting whispers of their choice. Suddenly, the air thickened, shifting around them. The ground trembled once more, a low rumble echoing through the chamber. Stay close. Jack called, taking Sam's arm, pulling him towards an archway in the stone. The arch beckoned, jagged and dark, a mouth yawning wide, but Amy hesitated. What if we're walking into a trap? Or it could be our way out, Sam urged, anxiety twisting his features into a mask of fear. Before Amy could respond, the ground bucked beneath their feet, forcing them toward the opening. They stumbled forward, momentum propelling them through the archway and into a tunnel that wound like a serpent through the stone. The path was suffocating, with walls that closed in, shadows slinking just beyond their sight. Panic clawed at her throat, but the urgency of their escape lit a fire in her chest. Run! She shouted, sprinting ahead, her heart pounding in time with the echoing thuds of their feet. Then, ahead, a glimmer caught her eye. More light. There. she cried, pointing as they barreled forward. But, just as hope ignited, the ground trembled violently, heaving them back. Walls began to close in, a menacing force pushing them towards something lurking in the shadows. A growl rumbled, low and foreboding, a sound that froze her blood. "Move!" Jack yelled, urgency slicing through the tension. They darted forward, the tunnel narrowing with every frantic step. Whatever had awakened was not far behind. Rainforest green eyes ignited in the dark ahead, glimmering with unforgiving hunger. The trio skidded to a halt, pressed against the wall as breaths came heavy. "What the hell is that?" Sam whispered, eyes wide, filled with fear. And as the creature stepped into the flickering light, she knew. Every choice had led them here, and freedom now meant facing their worst nightmares. Together. Jack's voice rang out, defiance battling against their dread, but would it be enough? They braced for the impact of whatever came next, knowing very well the price of their choice had yet to be revealed. What horrors awaited them in this new, twisted reality? The creature emerged, muscles rippling beneath mottled skin, an unsettling blend of human and beast. Its elongated limbs moved with a predatory grace, a silhouette carved from nightmares. Amy's breath hitched, the truth of their situation crashing over her like a cold wave. This wasn't some dream to awaken from, it was their reality now. "Back!" Jack shouted, shoving Sam behind him. The creature eyed them with a hunger that sent vibrant tendrils of terror curling up Amy's spine. It prowled closer, an ominous growl resonating deep within its throat, and for a moment, all hope seemed to fade. Think. Amy urged herself, her pulse erratic. They needed a plan, a way to fight back against this monster lurking in the suffocating dark. Jack's hand tightened around Sam's wrist, grounding them, but the fear in Sam's wide eyes mirrored her own. "What do we do?" Sam whispered, barely audible over the creature's heavy breathing. "Find a weapon," Jack said, scanning the ground. "Anything." Desperation drove them forward, eyes darting, not knowing where to summon courage from. She spotted a jagged rock partly embedded in the stone floor. "Here!" Amy cried, lunging for it. She hoisted the weight in her hands, feeling some semblance of power surge through her fingertips, if only briefly. The beast shifted, quicker than she'd expected, its gaze snapping to her. No time for hesitation, they were running out of options. With a shout that fractured the tension, Amy hurled the rock directly at the creature. It struck the beast on the shoulder, eliciting a deep, thunderous roar that reverberated through the chamber. "Now, run!" Jack barked, not waiting for a reaction. The three of them turned, sprinting into the dark tunnel as the creature lurched forward, its growls morphing into an enraged snarl. As the narrow passage twisted and curled, panic threatened to drown out reason. Every footfall echoed like thunder, marking their frantic escape. The stone walls pressed in, closing the distance between them and the impending death they dared not look back to face. "It's gaining on us!" Sam cried, glancing over his shoulder. "We have to find a way out of here." Amy countered, her breath coming in short bursts. The flickering light at the end of the tunnel seemed to mock them, always just out of reach. Suddenly, the ground lurched again, the chamber shaking violently, as if the entire structure were rebelling against the monster. Amy stumbled, falling to her knees, the jagged stone biting into her palms. But something else caught her eye, a narrow fissure in the wall, dimly lit and promising escape. "Through there!" she shouted, pointing. Jack reached for her, yanking her back to her feet. Together, they surged toward the opening, crawling through the narrow gap as the monster barreled behind them, its breath hot and rancid. They squeezed through, the fissure narrowing painfully against their bodies. Amy felt the pressure, the fear, the dread echoing in her mind. Would they get through in time? Just as they slipped out into a wider space, thick darkness enveloped them again. The growls faded, but the oppressive weight of threat lingered, the tension crackling in the air. They stumbled into a vast chamber, more ancient stone carved from a forgotten time, each wall struggling to tell its story. "What now?" Sam gasped, eyes darting around the shadows. The absence of the creature's presence made their heartbeats the loudest sound in the darkness that a flickering torch flickered to life on the wall nearby, casting eerie shadows that twisted and turned as if alive. Fascinated and terrified, they stepped closer, and the shadows revealed a mural one more intricate than before. "Look!" Jack breathed, pointing. The figures depicted a fight, too. A creature like the one they barely escaped and a brave figure striking back, holding what looked like a crystal orb. A surge of hope flooded through Amy. Could that be the answer? Maybe the orb can protect us, she suggested, a thrill of possibility racing down her spine. But as she reached out, she felt the ground shake again, a haunting growl echoing through the chamber. "No. Please," she murmured as the walls began to vibrate, darker shapes emerging at the edges, closing in. "We have to hurry," Jack urged, eyes intense. As shadows loomed, Amy's heart sank. Every moment they delayed meant the creature could reclaim its territory, wrathful and unrelenting. But just as she reached toward the mural, a haunting whisper brushed her mind, an ominous reminder of their choices. Was there truly a way out, or were they spiraling deeper into the cycle they tried to escape? The swell of fear sharpened into clarity. Whatever was coming next would either bind them forever or offer the chance to sever their fates. "Grab what you can!" Jack shouted, urgency tearing through his voice, and as shadows danced closer, Amy realized the orb might not just bring power, it could also reveal the truth. Could they face what lay hidden in this terrifying space? The moment had come, and every heartbeat pushed toward the edge of revelation. The moment Amy's fingertips brushed the mural, a jolt raced through her. The shadows surrounding them pulsed with life, shifting as if responding to her touch. Strange whispers wrapped around them, words unintelligible yet filled with raw emotion, a warning or a plea, she couldn't tell which. Suddenly, the fleeting darkness seemed to retract, pulling away just enough for her to catch a glimpse of the mural's center. The crystal orb sparkled within the painted warrior's grasp, illuminating the figures with an otherworldly glow. It felt like destiny, a hidden truth waiting to be revealed. "Do you see that?" Amy gasped, breathless, her skin prickling with anticipation. "We have to find a way to get it." Jack nodded, but didn't he move? The shadows were creeping closer, clawing at the edges of their vision. But how? What if it's a trap? Before she could respond, the growl reverberated through the chamber once more, resonating deep in her bones. The creature had found them. Its presence slammed into her like a lead weight. Amy felt the air grow thick, suffocating, the very essence of fear hanging in the space. They were trapped again. "Let's split up," Jack shouted suddenly, desperation clinging to his voice. "You and Sam keep an eye on that thing while I grab the orb." "Are you out of your mind?" Amy snapped, a wave of panic surging through her. "That thing will eat you alive. Just trust me." "We don't have time to argue," he insisted. "If this mural is right, then that orb could be the key to stopping it." "What if it doesn't work?" Sam chimed in, looking small and terrified. The thought of losing Jack twisted like a knife in Amy's gut. "Then we'll face it together," Jack promised, steel in his voice. He didn't wait for either of them to protest. With a swift turn, he darted toward the mural, heart pounding, the shadows thickening as the creature's growls crescendoed. "Come on." Amy grabbed Sam's arm, pushing them away from where Jack was headed. "We need to distract it. Maybe we can outsmart it somehow." They raced toward the far end of the chamber, glancing back at Jack. The shadows clung to him, overhanging like vultures ready to strike. The ground shook violently, echoing with the beast's wrath. "Look for anything, a rock, a relic, maybe it's scared of something," Amy urged, her heartbeat matching the chaotic rhythm of the moment. Sam's eyes flicked nervously around the chamber, searching for anything at all. "I don't see anything." "Amy, whatever you think is going to happen." Before he could finish, an ear-splitting roar erupted, shaking the very stones beneath them. The creature lunged forward, slashing through the shadows, its eyes locked onto Jack like a predator zeroing in on its prey. "No!" Amy screamed, adrenaline spurring her into action. "Focus!" Sam urged, but his voice trembled. Amy dug her heels in, her hands trembling. "We need to create a diversion. It's too focused on Jack. Let us find something to throw or—" She spotted a heavy stone statue, remnants of a forgotten past, ill-fated heroics carved into its surface. "Help me!" Together, they heaved the statue, heart racing as they propelled it toward the creature. It crashed to the ground with a reverberating thud, startling the beast just long enough for Jack to reach toward the orb, but just as his fingers grazed it, the room trembled again, shadows spiraled in tight arcs, and the creature whipped around, furiously swinging its claws in their direction. There was a moment, an electric pause as time suspended, revealing a truth unspoken. "Jack!" Amy cried, but the overwhelming noise overshadowed her voice. A torrent of shadows surged between them, swallowing his figure as he reached for the dazzling orb. The chamber erupted into chaos. Would this ancient artifact give them strength, or would it bring their downfall? As the beast lunged forward, Amy could only watch, breath caught in her throat, heart pounding with the weight of uncertainty. With everything at stake, the fabric of their fate hung in the balance. Would the orb save them or doom them all? Amy's world had spun into frantic turmoil, but now. The reckoning was at hand. What lay ahead could change everything. Would they survive to tell their tale? The shadows twisted and groaned, almost as if they had a mind of their own. Amy's heart raced as she realized, in that split second, how close they were to the edge of oblivion. Every instinct screamed that they had to act fast. "Get ready!" She yelled to Sam, her voice strained but fierce. They needed to keep the creature distracted, to buy Jack those critical seconds. Panic bubbled in her chest, but she pushed it down. "Let us throw another one." Sam nodded, the fear in his eyes replaced by determination. They both sprinted toward the remnants of an ancient sanctuary, grabbing whatever they could find, a few jagged rocks and another small statue, too heavy for them to lift together, but just enough to throw. With a swift glance at Jack, who was still in the jaws of fate, Amy and Sam hurled their makeshift projectiles toward the beast. The stones smashed against its side, provoking a furious snarl that momentarily diverted its attention. "Over here, ugly!" Amy shouted, her voice carrying unnaturally in the chamber as the shadows pulsed around them, alive and restless. The creature's red eyes narrowed, fixating on her as it lumbered forward, claws outstretched. The ground trembled beneath their feet, sending shockwaves of fear through her. "Sam, keep it busy," she urged as she took a step back, trying to find an escape route. She needed to get closer to Jack and the orb. "Hey! You think that gnarly face can handle a little rock?" Sam called out, picking up another stone and throwing it wildly. The creature reeled from the impact, but it was only a momentary reprieve. Jack had his hand wrapped around the orb, but as Amy strained to see, it seemed to slip through his fingers like smoke. The colors of the mural flickered, the heavy presence shifting. "Jack! Just a little longer!" she cried, despair flooding her voice. But the shadows were coiling tighter, whispering their dark promises, almost taunting her with the dimming light. With every instinct pushing her, Amy sprinted toward Jack, dodging the beast as it turned, too focused on Sam's diversion for a moment longer. As she drew near, time stretched, and she braced herself, a surge of hope and fear battling in her heart. "Grab it again!" she shouted, her breath hitching. "Don't let it go!" But the creature lunged, and a shockwave of energy pulsated, a dark force racing through the air. Jack, caught in a terrible balance, faltered. Shadows spilled between them like a dense mist, and Amy felt the world shrink to just the two of them. "Jack!" she screamed, reaching out. If only she could reach him in time. The orb glimmered just above him, wreathed in light yet engulfed by shadows. When he regained his grip, she saw it, his expression transformed into something she couldn't decipher. Was it fear? Power? Then a horrifying realization crashed over her. What if the orb did more than just give them strength? What if it consumed the one who wielded it, leaving only darkness in return? The creature twisted violently, the shadows rushing to it like a tide. It seemed to feed off Jack's hesitation, growing larger and more ferocious as if sensing an imminent victory. Let it go. Get away. Sam's voice pierced through her. But it was too late. The shadows surged toward Jack, swallowing him in a whirl of black mist. All at once, reality split. Amy's pulse thundered in her ears, drowning out everything but the desperate ache in her chest. Jack! Her voice shattered as the mist curled around him, snatching her hope along with it. Then, in an instant, Jack's figure flickered, a silhouette glitching between two worlds. The mural pulsed, the orb glowing fiercely. Amy watched, helpless, as the creature's roar echoed like a funeral dirge, hungry and triumphant. She knew the truth within her heart, or perhaps it was just a haunting whisper: would the orb turn Jack into something else, something they could never come back from? As shadows swarmed, she faced the monster they had inadvertently awakened. With shaky resolve, she stepped forward, ready to confront them all. But as the last shred of light faded, the room erupted with a blinding flash, a spark that threatened to unravel their destiny. Would it free them or consume them? Something was about to happen, and she needed to be ready for the worst or the unexpected. What awaited them in the shadows? A brilliant flash enveloped the chamber, momentarily blinding Amy. She shielded her eyes, heart racing, pulse pounding louder than the creature's furious roars. Time had shifted, elongating into a distorted dream, unfamiliar and surreal. She felt, rather than saw, the shadows recoiling, as if the light scorched their very essence. Sam! She called, panic rising in her throat. She blinked rapidly, straining to regain clarity. The air crackled with energy, a tangible threat danced around her. As her vision settled, she sensed an eerie stillness. The beast had halted, frozen in mid-attack, its gnarled claws suspended in the air. The shadows creeping across the floor turned from menacing tendrils to wisps, retreating like frightened animals. Jack's figure shimmered at the center of the chaos, the orb pulsing rhythmically in his palm, radiating an otherworldly glow. Is he okay? Sam's voice trembled beside her, eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear, but Amy couldn't respond. She was drawn to Jack like a moth to a flame, a force beyond comprehension wrapping around her heart. He stood silhouetted against the fading shadows, a strange serenity surrounding him. Jack, please. She urged, stepping closer. What's happening? The flash faded, leaving a soft glow that illuminated the chamber. The creature, now a hulking mass of muscle and malice, seemed trapped by the orb's power, but Amy could see the fury in its eyes. The darkness ebbed, yet the air crackled with a sense of urgency, the creature waiting for its moment to break free. I can feel it. Jack's voice was low, almost drowning in the weight of his surroundings. It's calling me. Amy's chest tightened. Calling you? Jack, you can't just focus on us. She reached out, desperate to pull him back, to draw him from the brink, but her pleas sliced through the silence like knives. Jack's expression shifted again, an overlay of fear and a strange, insatiable power flickered across his features. The haunting shadows whispered his name, a siren's song promising to awaken his deepest potential, painting visions of strength and might. Jack, listen. You're more than this orb. You're not meant to be its vessel. Sam shouted, stepping forward. Yet, desperation surrounded them like a chokehold as Jack slowly raised the orb higher. The light intensified, casting shadows of their own, flaring with new life. Suddenly, Amy felt the creature stir, its feral instincts heightened, instincts drawn to the stronger pulse of energy. The floor quaked beneath them, and an echoing growl bubbled up, vibrating through the air. Jack! Don't do this. She could barely keep her voice steady. Each adrenaline-fueled word amplified the urgency. We need to escape. But Jack's silhouette became a whirl of brilliance, half light, half shadow. No, Amy. This is my choice. I can harness it. His voice cracked, laced with desperate hope. The creature lunged, breaking free from its stasis, claws swiping through the air like a scythe. Sam yanked Amy aside, barely dodging the lethal swipe. They stumbled back, breathless. As the beast's fury ignited, shadows surged around them, forming an army in the confines of the chamber. Jack! The urgency heightened. Fear clawed at her throat. Would his decision lead to salvation or doom? Time was slipping away faster than they could grasp it. A choice lay before Jack: embrace salvation or allow darkness to reign. The air grew thick, each pulse of the orb convulsing with potential, shimmering in synchrony with the creature's savage growls, and then it happened: a crack, a shift. The world tilted precariously, leaving Amy teetering on the edge of everything they had fought for. Would Jack unleash the power within, or would he succumb, spiraling deeper into the void? As the shadows surged forward, she had to wonder who would survive this night. The answer lay in the pulse of the orb, glowing like a heart, thrumming with an insatiable rhythm against uncertainty. Would they escape, or was this the end of their journey? The air crackled with energy, raw and volatile. Amy's heart raced as she felt the tension coiling tighter. She couldn't let the shadows win. They had come this far, there had to be a way out. Jack! She shouted, her voice slicing through the noise. You're stronger than this. Don't let it take you. Jack's eyes were wild, darting between the orb and the creature that lurked behind them. I can feel its power, he whispered, his voice barely audible amidst the chaos. The shadows flickered, as if sensing the moment where everything could tip. It's incredible, Amy. If I just let it in. No. Sam's voice interrupted, desperation painted across his features. You'll lose yourself. Remember what we came for. Remember us. Amy stepped forward, feeling the pull of the orb, the promise of strength, but wrapped in soul's whispers. Jack, please, she pleaded, the breath hitching in her throat. We can't trust it. We can't let it define you. We can find another way. But a tremor shook the ground. The shadows surged, their growls twisting into agonizing roars, clawing at the edges of the chamber. Jack hesitated, the orb flickering uncertainly in his grip. It shimmered with a haunting appeal, reflecting a promise that felt so close, yet so dangerous. Then, the creature lunged again, closing the gap with brutal speed. Focus on the creature. Amy yelled, pushing the fear down hard. We fight together. They weren't just on the brink of victory, they were also standing on the edge of a precipice that could swallow them whole. Jack snapped back to reality, the world around him clicking into raw clarity. Right. He shouted, determination flooding his voice. They were in this together. He took a step forward, grounding himself, spirit ignited with defiance. I won't let it control me. I'll channel its energy. Yes. Use it against it. Amy cried, feeling a thrill rush through her veins. Together. With a deep breath, Jack raised the orb high. The shadows screeched, recoiling as the light shone brighter than ever, illuminating each corner of the chamber, casting away doubt. The creature howled with rage, feeling the energy shift from it, the tide turning in their favor. Now, Jack. Let it go. Sam yelled, and without hesitation, Jack hurled the orb toward the creature. Time slowed as it sailed through the air, light trailing behind it like a comet. The moment it struck, an explosion of light erupted, power reverberated through the chamber as tendrils of energy arced towards the creature, enveloping it in blinding brilliance. An eerie silence filled the air as the shadows struggled against the force. The creature froze, trapped between realms. Amy and Sam shielded their eyes, the light threatening to consume everything within reach, and then it happened: the creature was drawn into the orb's core, sucked in by the very energy it sought to control. They watched in awe as it writhed, its dark form slowly dissolving into streams of light and shadow. Jack, panting heavily, fell to his knees. Did we? He began, looking disbelievingly at Amy and Sam, before they could respond, the ground beneath them cracked open once again, and a gust of wind swept through. Light flooded every corner, illuminating ethereal shapes and figures emerging from the darkness, the very souls that had been lost, now free. The chamber trembled as the shadows retreated, the essence of the creature growing dimmer until only the orb remained, glowing softly. "We did it," Sam whispered, his voice a reverent whisper of disbelief. But then, a quiet murmur filled the air, echoing with gratitude. "You have chosen wisely," it said, a soothing voice mingling with the soft light. The ancient souls swirled around them, each whisper telling tales of their once burdened existence, all straining for freedom. "We are free," one of the figures said with a smile, a mother who once cried for her lost children. "Thank you." Tears stung Amy's eyes as she felt the weight of their triumph settle around her. They had faced the darkness and lived, stronger for it. "Come on, let us go home," she said, offering her hand to Jack as he stood. Shaky but resolute. Together, they felt the light guiding them forward, leading them to the archway they had once feared. As they stepped through, an overwhelming feeling of peace washed over them. The storm that had echoed their fears faded into the sound of distant thunder, a reminder of their trials. Standing under the open sky, the air cleared. The heaviness of the temple dissipated. And in that moment, a new chapter awaited them, a chance to write their story anew, unburdened by the past. Together, Amy whispered, a smile gracing her lips, hearts intertwined, ready to face whatever life would throw next. As they turned back one last time, the temple stood still, the shadows long eradicated. They emerged, bathed in light, breathing air filled with promise. So, what will you do now? Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this jaw-dropping ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel.